It's story time with Kathy again. We're back to A Diplomat's Daughter. We'll see this time if we find out if Linda gets any answers to what happened to her first love, how her father got killed. She's on her way to Brussels, and a stewardess has just interrupted her train of thought. "Ma'am, would you like a drink?" I heard in the distance. "Ma'am, a drink?" the stewardess asked again. "Yes, please, I'll have a ginger ale," I answered as I cleared my throat. A burning sensation shot up my spine as I realized we were nearing our destination. "Okay, Linda," I told myself, "just breathe, just breathe. You would not be here if you were not ready." It was true. I was ready for some answers. Why did Jim stop writing me? And why on earth was my father killed? The truth could not be worse than the fear of it, which had stifled my life for these many years. Tears welled in my eyes as I imagined how liberating it would be to finally know what had happened. I wondered if the American embassy still had reports on my father's death, and I decided to find out while I was on my visit. I spent the remainder of the flight drifting in and out of sleep between meals, movies, and trips to the bathroom. When we finally descended, I was jittery with excitement and fatigue. I maneuvered slowly through the airport while translating signs and soaking up the international ambiance. A sea of humanity surrounded me, people of every nationality and ethnic background, quenching my parched soul with their vibrant diversity. After I exchanged money, I made my way to the crowded baggage claim and searched for Brenda. I saw a woman wearing a red jacket, but she looked to be more of African descent than Middle Eastern, so I decided to keep looking while I waited for my bags to arrive. 20 minutes later, however, the room had cleared, I had collected my luggage, and she was still the only woman in a red leather jacket. I finally approached the stranger and said, "Brenda?" "Yes," she cried as she jumped out of her seat and gave me a firm hug. What a beauty she had become. Her features were exquisitely defined, her brown skin smooth as silk, and her hair pulled chic and shiny in a taut bun. I, however, looked like a typical frumpy American, with my slightly worn jeans, comfortable walking shoes, and slightly frizzed blondish hair. After we exchanged greetings, she grabbed a piece of my luggage and ushered me off to her olive Citroen, waiting in the airport parking garage. We talked excitedly as we drove toward the lights of the city. I could barely believe I was there. The old buildings and small streets stirred up memories and feelings I had long forgotten. My throat began to tighten as I became overwhelmed. "Where exactly do you live?" I asked when I noticed we were leaving the city and heading toward the countryside. "It is actually in the warehouse district," she answered quickly. "They are turning empty warehouses into apartments. It's the latest thing you know. We'll be there soon." We finally parked beside what appeared to be an abandoned warehouse. The beige-colored facade peeked through layers of black dirt, and a rusted metal gutter hung from the roof. "Here we are," Brenda announced. "It looks a lot worse than it is." She bounced out of the car, opened the trunk, and removed my bag. I climbed out of the car slowly into the dark and walked toward the battered wooden door. The clang of a metal fence in the distance startled me. Brenda smiled and gently touched my elbow, guiding me to the entrance. When she opened the door, my heart sank. Inside, it was completely dark. She pushed me hard, slammed the door shut, and turned on a lantern. Two large African men stood beside a small folding chair in front of me. I was terrified as I looked at Brenda for an answer. She ignored me and began talking loudly in an unrecognizable language to the men. "Come here and sit down," she shouted with a slight accent. I walked quickly to the chair. My body was on fire with fear. "What is going on?" I stammered. "Be quiet and just hold this newspaper," she ordered. I held the paper as one of the men took a photo of me with his cell phone. I started trembling as I realized I had been kidnapped. The woman had posed as Brenda Mohan on the Brussels school website in order to lure some stupid American into a trap. My mother had been right. It was terribly dangerous outside of the U.S., and I would probably end up dead like my father. How could I be so dumb? Please, please, I cried, just let me go. This must be some kind of mistake. It is no mistake. We are planning to exchange you for someone very important to us. Then we will set you free, the woman said as she shoved me toward a small room. I stumbled onto a bare mattress. There was a flashlight and a bucket in the corner. The bucket is your toilet, she continued. We will bring you food later. She shut the door and left me alone. I ran to the bucket and vomited. No, I moaned as I rocked myself on the bed and tears saturated my face. Please, God, don't let it end here. Please help me live through this, I prayed. I pictured George's kind face and longed to be back in my simple life. I should have left the past alone. What a fool I was. What a fool. I watched the hours pass slowly on my small gold wristwatch as I heard the Africans talking and laughing outside my room. One of them left and returned later with bread and cheese, which they shared with me. They offered me wine, but I refused. I needed to stay awake and keep my mind clear. Around 11 the next morning, they opened the door and escorted me to the Citroën. I sat in the back with the woman while one man drove and the other spoke loudly on the phone. The men were extreme in their appearance. They had very dark skin, large strong teeth, and similar wrinkles across the tops of their noses. So different from the gentle features Americans have developed from years of blending together in our melting pot. I was sick with exhaustion, but relieved to be going somewhere. Maybe this really would be all over soon. After driving for about an hour, we turned onto a gravel road near a farm and stopped at a secluded spot near a wooden bridge. Come, the woman shouted, as she grabbed my arm and directed me to the bridge. The men walked on either side of us, wearing sunglasses and carrying guns. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely move. When we got to the bridge, I saw a black sedan and 3 men on the other side. 2 of the men looked official in black suits, while the third was older with gray hair and sunglasses, wearing khaki pants and a light blue Oxford shirt. The 3 of them walked carefully toward us. Stop, one of the Africans yelled. Stay here and send only the man. We will send the woman. The groups faced each other as the older man and I continued to walk across the bridge toward each other. When we were nearly side by side, he turned toward me and whispered sternly, Linda, drop down now. I plunged to the ground immediately as he fell on top of me. Gunfire blasted over us as I buried my face in my arms and screamed. After several long minutes, the gunfire ended. He climbed off of me and slowly stood up and said, Brenda, are you all right? As he patted my back. Is it over? I whimpered. Yes, you are safe now. It's over, he responded. I was shaking violently as I tried to stand up. He grabbed my arm to steady me. What do I do now? I wondered. Who do I trust? How do I get away? Tears filled my eyes as I began to panic. I stumbled as I walked to a large tree on the side of the road as 4 or 5 men dressed in army fatigues emerged from the woods and approached the fallen Africans. The older man followed me closely. He grabbed my arm and helped me sit on the ledge by the roadside. I'm here to help you, he said calmly. Who the hell are you? I sobbed angrily. I'm with the American Embassy. Your kidnappers were from a little-known African terrorist group, and they have been wanting to get a hold of me for years. Unfortunately, you were their hostage this time, he explained. We are here to take care of you now and make sure you get home safely. No, I shouted. I want a phone. Just give me a phone. I want to call for my own help. How do I know who you really are? Okay, he said. If I show you my identification, will you please get in the car and let us bring you to safety? Lay it on the ground, I directed. He tossed a yellow case resembling a wallet at my feet. I picked it up and studied it carefully. It looked official enough, but I was still afraid. He knelt beside me and looked intensely into my eyes. Read my name again, he said softly. I read the name silently and then closed my eyes as tears of joy ran down my face as I knew I was truly safe. The man who had just saved me was Jim's father, Frank Majors. Frank and I were driven to an old apartment building near the embassy where I ate potato soup and pork chops, showered, and went to bed. Scenes from the past 2 days replayed vividly in my mind as I laid my head on a soft white pillow and tried to sleep. As fatigue finally overcame my restlessness, my mind began to clear, and I realized that by using Jim Major's name on the Brussels school website, I had identified my name as someone who was known to Frank Majors. The Africans had kidnapped me, betting Frank would care enough about me to make the trade. But why did the Africans want Frank? Did this have anything to do with what he did here over 35 years ago? These questions led to more questions and conversations, but try as I might, I could stay away no longer. Darkness soon overcame me, and I fell into a deep, deep sleep. And we will end here for today. We have one more part. Hopefully all the questions will be answered. Where will Brenda end up? We don't know. Linda end up. It's very exciting. I assure you, you'll be surprised. So tune in next time for Storytime with Kathy. Thanks. Bye.